Namaste friends. A very warm welcome to Sayujya Yoga with Prutha and Hardik. In today's video, we are going to discuss about vertebral column, also called as spinal column or spine. It is a part of axial skeleton. So in our previous video, we have already given an introduction about what is skeletal system and what are the segments in skeletal system. So there is axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton, and within axial skeleton there is vertebral column. So let's discuss about vertebral column in detail. Now the entire spine is made up of various vertebrae. The singular word for vertebrae is vertebra. 5 sections of the spine are there. You can see in this diegetic spine there are various colors which highlight various sections or segments of the spine. The first segment that we are going to discuss is about the cervical spine. It is just below the skull bone, the occipital bone or the posterior bone of the skull. So there are 7 vertebrae in cervical spine. Then the vertebrae below cervical spine are called as thoracic, and there are 12 vertebrae in thoracic region. And below the thoracic region there is a lumbar segment. We have 5 vertebrae in lumbar segment, and below the lumbar segment the color represented over here is the yellow color. For the sacrum there are 5 vertebrae in sacrum, and then there is a small tailbone also called as coccyx, and there are 4 bones in the coccyx. So friends, how to remember this? 7, 12, 5, 5 and 4. How to remember this? So I will give you a trick to remember just the pre-sacral vertebrae. So at 7 a.m. I have my breakfast. So 7 cervical vertebrae. At 12 p.m. I have my lunch. So thoracic. And then at 5 p.m. I have my early dinner. So 5 lumbar vertebrae. You can remember in this way. Now let's move ahead. Spine has curves when we view from the side. You can see that there are curves from the side. These curves are arches of our spine. Our spine has 4 curves and it forms a double S with the curves in the neck and the lumbar moving in opposite directions to the curves in the thoracic and sacrum. The convex curve of the thoracic spine is called as kyphosis, a humpback. This is also called as primary curve. The backward concave curve of the lumbar and the cervical spine is termed as lordosis, means bending backward. This is our secondary curve. These 4 curves are immensely important for us to walk upright, as they distribute the compressive stress that arises when the torso is vertical. With all its normal curves, our spine acts like a spring. Every time we increase the stress in our body by walking or running, the spine changes its shape. The curves may deepen and then lengthen again like a spring. If there were no curves in our spine, the entire stress would fall on the vertebrae and the intervertebral disc, which will wear them out quickly. So friends, the gel-like substance which you can see in between 2 vertebra or vertebrae is called as intervertebral disc. There are 23 intervertebral discs between each pair of vertebrae except C1 and C2. So if you can just see over here, between C1 and C2 there is no intervertebral disc. And what are these intervertebral discs made up of? They are made up of cartilage, collagen and water. 2 major components of intervertebral disc. It looks like a donut, okay? A ring of collagen fibers called as annulus fibrosus, and an inner core of watery gel called as nucleus pulposus. So the nucleus pulposus looks like a jelly in the center of a donut. It looks like a jelly in the center of a donut. Yeah. The thickness of disc varies throughout the spinal column. So you can see over here, it is thinnest in the cervical region and the thickest in the lumbar. Intervertebral discs contribute 25% of the total length of our spine. However, this can vary with the time of the day. In the morning when we wake up, our discs are at peak of hydration and thickness is also very large. By the night time, they are least hydrated and thinnest. For this reason, friends, we feel stiffer in the morning. Thus, stressing the spine first thing in the morning is strictly not advised. At birth, the pulposus are very large and soft, but as we age, its ability to retain water diminishes, so its gel-like properties diminish, making it less able to distribute stress. Studies have found that flexible young gymnasts shows the water content in their nucleus pulposus is higher than the average population and their disc thickness is greater. That is why they are very flexible. Their spine is also flexible. The extra height of the disc allows them more room for movement and more range of motion. Generally, there is no blood flow within the disc. However, it gets its nutrition from the surrounding tissues. Friends, there is something called as spinous processes in our vertebral column, and spinous process arises at the posterior body of the vertebrae where two lamina join together. Now, what is this process called as? Why the word process is used? Process is basically, it means an outgrowth or projection. In this case, it refers to a projection made of bone. You can see over here, there are projections, bony projections on the posterior part of the spine. They are easily palpated bumps which we can feel along our spine. If you can just touch your spine from behind, you can easily feel them. At right angles to the spinous process are two bilateral transverse processes. So you can see over here at the lateral side there are two transverse processes. So these are called as transverse processes, and in the center there is a spinous process. The transverse and spinous processes serve as broad attachment points for our muscles, ligaments and fascia. So friends, there are two superior articulating processes on top of the vertebra. You can see over here, these are the two superior articulating processes on top of the vertebra, and there are two inferior articulating processes, and together these four processes are called as facets. Orientation of these facets vary by segment. Also within the segment and people, it will determine which movements are possible and which are not. Facets guide the movements of the vertebrae. Thus, the sizes, shape and orientation of the facets, which are highly variable between people, will play a defining role in the ultimate limits of the spine's motion. So now friends, let's discuss cervical vertebrae in detail from C1 to C7. This is fixed number. So C1 to C7, there are 7 cervical vertebrae are not designed for bearing weight. 7 vertebrae in cervical spine have different size and shapes. You can see from here, there are various different sizes and shapes. Spinous processes are also of different lengths. Bodies of cervical vertebrae are smaller and square shaped. You can see they are square shaped than those in the rest of the spine. Now this C1 over here is called as atlas. The atlas is the thinnest and most delicate of the cervical vertebra. It looks like a thin ring of bone. And the C2 is called as axis. The main function of axis is to support the weight of the head. It is the strongest cervical vertebra. Derives its name from its role in allowing the head to rotate. Neck muscles attach to the transverse processes and back muscles to the spinous process. So friends, let's now move to thoracic vertebrae from T1 to T12. So thoracic has 12 vertebrae connected with 12 ribs, but some people will have 13 vertebrae, so they will also have 13 ribs. The thoracic vertebral bodies are bigger than the cervical ones, and their shape is more triangular as they help to support the weight of the upper body and protect the delicate spinal cord. Thoracic facets allow rotation but prevent anterior and posterior movement. So it will allow, see, you can see over here, it allows rotation but it will prevent anterior posterior movement. It becomes very stiff over here. Thus thoracic vertebrae has minimal flexion and extension but helps in twisting. So extra thoracic vertebrae will give you a better twisting. Now long spinous processes from T4 onwards, if you can see over here, from T4 onwards they are pointing downwards. Therefore they are unable to move back, and that is less extension you will get from thoracic. So in backward bends you will get less extension from thoracic. Now long spinous processes will also restrict the movement, and between T4 and T9 heart and lungs are located. So friends, that's why this long spinous processes are restricting the movement. Now let's move to the lumbar vertebrae, which is L1 to L5. The lumbar vertebral bodies are the biggest because they bear the most of the weight. You can see they are the biggest than the thoracic and the cervical ones. They can be rectangular or egg-shaped. L5 is the largest vertebra. Flexion and extension movements comes from lumbar. Thin transverse processes. The transverse processes are very thin over here, which allows the facets for extension and flexion. Spinous processes are large, short and square. You can see the spinous processes are large, but they are short and square shaped, and this allows the movement very freely in flexion and extension. Distance between spinous processes is more in lumbar. You can see over here and here. The distance between spinous processes is more in lumbar. More gap will result in more deeper back bends. Lesser gap will give lesser back bends. So rotation and twisting should not be done from lumbar, as T12 is locked with L1, which gives us the indication that lumbar is for stability and thoracic is for mobility. So friends, let's now move to the other segment, the sacral vertebrae. It is a triangle shaped bone, and there are 5 fused vertebral bones from S1 to S5. You can see over here it is the yellow colored and it is triangular shaped. It forms the posterior wall of the pelvis. So this is the pelvis, and at the posterior part, that is at the back part, the sacral vertebrae are located. So friends, let's move to the other segment, that is the coccyx, which is the final segment of the entire spine. It is also referred to as the tailbone because it looks like a tail. First bone bears a transverse process. If you can see the first bone, it has a transverse process. The other 3 bones are fused. Thank you friends for watching this video. In our next video, we will discuss about the thoracic cage, also called as the rib cage. If you have liked this video, then please press the like button, share and subscribe our channel to get regular updates and exciting videos about yoga anatomy. Thank you friends, and namaste.